It's great to be here with longtime HR technology analyst, advisor, thought leader with roles as an HR practitioner and as a vendor executive, more than 40 years of global HR technology experience, Steve Goldberg. Steve, it's great to have you today and do this conversation.
John, it's always great to be with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to just have a chat.
That's excellent. So let me ask you first, I read and hear a lot about CEOs putting organizational agility at the top of their priority list. Why do you believe this happens?
Why do I believe it happens? I think there's an obvious reason. We live in very fluid times. We live in unpredictable, uncertain times. And the other aspect here is that we have lots of change going on in the operating environment internally and externally. That's part of the fluidity of the times we live in. And when we think about what does organizational agility really mean, kind of my thumbnail definition of organizational agility at a high level is being out in front of both business risks and business priorities. And more specifically, I would say it's kind of knowing when, as an organization, you have to pivot. You have to make some sort of pivot. Might be a strategic pivot, technological pivot, operational pivot. But it's good to be out in front and know when you have to pivot, know the best paths to take, what are the options, pick the best one, hopefully, and then execute well. And to me, that's what organizational agility is all about. And the other thing I want to say is, way back 20 years ago, when I was at PeopleSoft, I was given a task by the GM of the product line. I ran strategy at the time. And the gentleman said to me, Steve, just think about from your practitioner days, what would be 3 or 4 most reliable ways for an organization to ascend the ranks within its industry vertical. And I started to think, well, I'm going to come up with something really interesting, and I'm going to name it after myself, the Steve Goldberg Ascension Test. And the Ascension Test, which I still go with today, and it seems to resonate even more than it did back then because of the fluidity of our times. And the Ascension Test is, there are 3 pathways that are the most reliable. One is elevating organizational agility. The second is being an employer of choice. Why? So you can attract and retain top talent. And the third is improving employee productivity. Why? Because the smallest, most modest upticks in productivity are going to lead to big value creation. If you want to kind of use a mathematical example, go with round numbers. Average revenue per employee is 100K. You move that up pretty slightly to 105K, a 5% productivity improvement. Well, that translates into $5 million for an organization that's 1,000 employees if you do the math. So, so that's my Ascension Test. And again, I'll emphasize, these are probably in my lifetime the most kind of unpredictable, uncertain times we live in as far as running a business. Both the internal and the external operating environments are changing, and you need to be kind of ahead of when that change is going to be needed.